So we always start by just asking, tell us your name and what you're known for.
My name's Jim Valentino, and I'm known for drinking to excess and creating a public nuisance.
And how about in comics, what are you known for?
Oh, that. Um, I'm a co-founder of Image, created Normal Man, Shadowhawk, Touch of Silver, a bunch of other stuff.
Tell me, how did you get started with your interest in comics?
I was always interested in comics from the time I was a little kid. Keith Giffen had the best quote for that. He said, "You act as if I had a choice." I did not have a choice.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, and when did you decide you wanted to do it? Make comics, and how?
I think it was about 30 minutes after I was born. It was kind of, just always, just always. There was never a time when I didn't want to do it.
And well,
Until after I got in. Then.
yeah, that reminds me. You had a great quote when I said we're doing this documentary about the struggles of getting into comics. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I said I wanted to see a documentary about breaking out of comics. That'd be great.
So, how did you get into the industry?
Oi. Well, the first thing I did was I moved to San Diego because the San Diego Comic-Con, which was a very small show at the time, and I figured there would be people there that I could meet and I could learn how to do it and how to do comics and stuff like that. And there were a lot of cartoonists there. There was a community there. Scott Shaw, Dave Stevens, John Pound, a bunch of people that later on got into the business. So it was a nice creative environment, and I learned the nuts and bolts of how to get into comics. Then I did mini comics. What do they call it? Small press comics is what they call them now. From there, I went to alternative comics. From alternative comics, I went into animation for a while, and then Marvel, and then Image.
So, how old were you when you moved to San Diego?
700.
So you're not going to say. Fair
Well,
enough.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm too old.
Did you move with the family, or
No,
you're old enough?
no. I moved with a backpack.
Okay. Yeah.
It was before the family, so
Okay.
yeah.
And when you started doing this, did you have a day job? Like, 'cause-
Sometimes. When I had to.
Yeah. And how long were you doing comics before you started seeing money, coming in?
You get money for this? Wow. That's great. Nobody ever told me.
So you worked your way up from I assume stuff you made at Kinko's,
Yeah.
and then maybe like who was the first person that said, I want to publish you?
Ken Kruger.
Okay.
Ken Kruger.
And how long had you been doing mini comics at that point? Before someone said, hey, I want to publish you.
Actually, he published my first mini comic.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
So,
And this was
Ken was one of the co-founders of the San Diego Comic-Con. He was a member of First Fandom. He was a science fiction guy. Gave, amongst other people, Greg Bear, Harlan Ellison, a few other people, their starts. He was a real mentoring kind of guy. So he was the first to publish me.
yeah.
But beyond that, my first, it's really hard to say because there were different steps along the way.
Right.
Dennis Kitchen had published me, Dave Sim, Aardvark Vanaheim. So
Yeah. And did you say next came the animation?
after or during, while I think I was just finishing up with Normal Man or working on Myth Adventures, that I went into animation, yeah.
And real quickly, what kind of attention did Normal Man get as far as, readership, acclaim?
Oh, people hated it. It was horrible. I'd go to conventions, people would throw things at me. It was dreadful.
Really, they would?
Yeah, sure. Still do. So, it's like I'm ducking all the time. It's a good thing I'm short, because and I'm fast, so makes it a hard target.
And how did you get in with animation?
How'd I get? Well, they walked in the door, and
You just said, I do comics and I'd like to do this. It was something you decided you wanted to do and you went to them?
No, a friend of mine said that they had openings on this show, so I showed up and the guy knew who I was and said, "Okay, you're hired."
Oh, great.
Yeah, so it was pretty easy.
Yeah. Did you bounce around to different companies, or did you just stick with them for a little while?
I worked for a few different companies for about a year or so, or maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I can't remember.
And what shows did you work on? What kind of work did you do?
I did storyboards. I did them for the New Archies or something like that. The Defenders of the Earth, which was Flash Gordon and the Phantom and Mandrake the Magician. I did Laser Tag. I did Superman. I did the Transformers for about a half an hour. Then I was like, no, none of that. I'm not drawing trash cans for the rest of my life. I worked on a bunch of different shows.
Yeah. And then why did you decide to leave that and go back to comics?
I decided making money was not a good idea anymore, so I went back to comics to be poor and live off my wife. So that's basically it.
So your wife had a job that could pay the mortgage and pay for groceries? Is that it?
She sold drugs.
Oh,
so
great,
it was great.
great.
Yeah. No, she had a job.
Yeah. And then that gave you freedom to do what you wanted, and you just, there's something about comics that was fulfilling to you, or that was a good joke answer, but really, was there something to it, or did you just kind of?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it was what I wanted to do, and she believed in me enough that through the lean years, she basically took care of things for a while until I could get the career moving, and then once that happened, then she was free to do whatever she wanted. So kind of worked out nice.
You had an opportunity with her being able to help on that front. Yeah, and the animation work wasn't fulfilling in those same ways, I guess.
Well, animation is real hit and miss. It's real dry periods, work periods, and because of the cycles of television. So, we'd gone through a dry period and then we went into another, boom, and then another dry period, and other opportunities were coming up. So I was like, screw that. I want to do this. And I wanted to do comics. I don't really want to do anything else. I don't want to do animation or movies or anything like that. I did want to be a rock star, but I can't sing. So, it was like, what are you going to do?
So you said opportunities came up. What was the opportunity that came up?
Gosh, I don't even remember. It's like I think at that particular point I was starting to create a portfolio to get into mainstream comics, Marvel, and that kind of stuff.
So when you got on with Marvel, how'd you get in?
I knew an editor. I'd done a couple of things for him. Red Sonja, I think I wrote a Red Sonja story, drew a King Cole story, wrote and drew a What If, and then my studio mate and I came up here to Oakland to this very convention, and his name was Rob Liefeld. We don't know what happened to him. He kind of disappeared, went away. And I pitched the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they took it right here off the floor, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at that point, that was a big deal, right? And that book did well, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So tell me about the success of that.
What do you want to know? People bought it. It was successful.
So did you see a difference in, like, did Marvel respect that in how you were treated, or the opportunities, or the pay that you received from them?
Yeah, Marvel was fine. I have absolutely no rap against Marvel. They were great. They were fun to work with. It was a fun company. I had a ball.
So let's jump now to the decision to get Image going.
The decision to get Image going, Rob Liefeld had this wonky idea to get a couple of his friends together and do comics on our own. So he talked to the three people in the industry that he knew the best, which were me, Todd McFarlane, and Eric Larson, and that was it. Todd and Rob went to New York. They ran into Mark Silvestri, told Mark what we were doing. Mark's in. They told Jim Lee what we were doing. Jim's in. Boom, Image. It's just that simple.
So, was there any fear of creating a new company like this and being on your own? Or
No, we were incredibly stupid. It's just,
It just felt like what should be done.
Yeah, it
and you
just
did
felt
it.
like something we wanted to do. We wanted to. I think all of us are kind of entrepreneurs on our own, and we just wanted to do it ourselves, so we did.
And let's talk about how that was received in the comics community.
Like an atomic bomb. It was incredibly received. It was amazing.
Well, how did other professionals feel about it?
Jealous, pissed off, angry. Screw them. We made fun of them.
So tell me what you did at Image when you got started. What did you choose to do?
I did a book called Shadowhawk. That was a very violent. See, I figured Batman wasn't doing his job because he kept letting the Joker go free to kill more people. So Shadowhawk was like, screw it, I'm going to break their backs. They can't do anything. So it was kind of a change from the humor stuff I'd done before and stuff like that.
That's what I was going to ask. You did Normal Man.
Yeah.
So who's this new guy that's doing? Is this the same person that created these? Why the choice to go so extreme?
I never liked doing the same thing twice. So I did autobiographical underground comics about a misspent youth. And then I did Normal Man about, a superhero parody, and then I did the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Star Trek and spandex. So it's like, okay, what haven't I done? A Ditko roof runner that breaks people's backs, it made perfect sense at the time.